Hello, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Awesome. Well, welcome everyone to another Kleros community call. This is today, it's Wednesday, April 3rd. So, welcome everyone. We have different things to discuss with all of you guys. So, first thing is Happy Easter, everyone. Hopefully, you had some good vacation for those who live in countries where this is a vacation time. And we have a bunch of interesting things to comment. We have today JB who will explain a bit about the evolution and the current status of Kleros 2.0 development efforts. The first thing from me, I'm going to say that we are very excited for next week. We are co-hosting conference with the Stanford Association, Blockchain Association, or it's formally called Stanford Blockchain Club. This is going to be, it's my understanding that this is going to be the first ever conference they organize on blockchain governance. So this is going to take place on the 12th of April at the Stanford Law School. We are going to have a full day starting 9 a.m. until the evening with a bunch of different speakers from, different projects. There's going to be people from Arbitrum, I think from Optimism. There's going to be, of course, me. There's going to be Primavera de Filippi from Blockchain Gov, Kevin Owoki from Gitcoin, and a number of different people who have been working with us or in parallel with us on how to create better governance systems for, the new blockchain applications that are being developed. As you know, there are a lot of challenges regarding how to govern these systems in the sense of how to align incentives for different actors and stakeholders to, make an effort in the same direction, how to avoid people from fighting with each other, how to, of course, make the system to be respectful of the rights of different agents that take place. So lots of different questions also from the legal perspective. How do these systems built on blockchain interact with traditional legal framework? So all of these things are going to be, we're going to discuss at this conference. If you are on the Bay Area and you want to participate, I think it's a bit late because it's already overbooked, but you can still apply for the waiting list, and if there is some tickets that become available, so you can go. So yeah, if you are interested into blockchain governance and generally speaking the future of the internet governance, so I would strongly recommend that you go or try to go, because this is going to be, I think, a foundational conference that people will speak about in the future for a long time. So that's a big thing happening next week. And I will let William do his update now, and then we can just go into JB and V2. Yeah, go ahead, William.
Oh, let me send William the request. I think he needs to accept it.
There are
I'm
so
not
many
sure.
confirmations. They ask you if you want to co-host, and then if you want to share your mic. I know this is a bit bureaucratic in the spaces.
Yes, I can hear you.
Great, thanks.
Perfect. Go ahead.
Yeah, so like on one point, I'm sad I'm not going to be at the Stanford conference. That sounds really awesome. I look forward to hearing about sort of the governance discussions people have. I'm going to be at a different conference in Cambridge in the UK, so on April 20th, so a little bit later, talking about sort of like legal tech and sort of the future of arbitration, and on a panel with other sort of legal tech people. So if there are people in the UK, you should check that out. Although I think that might also be sold out at this point. So, but something to look at. In terms of the research we're working on now, I've been drafting a blog article on some of the research I've been doing recently on peer prediction, and how it can potentially be incorporated as like a dispute kit in Kleros 2.0. The idea, for those of you who haven't heard me already give this spiel on previous community calls, is that in the current court, the way we handle, we parameterize the sort of the deposits and the fees in different courts to take into account sort of the relative weights at which different options tend to win, with the idea that it shouldn't be profitable to always vote for the same strategy or to randomly vote, to do what we call lazy strategies. And this parameterization that we use doesn't work super well if the rates at which options win becomes very unbalanced. If you have a curated list where reject from list wins 95% of the time, in order to use our sort of current approach that we use for Kleros 1.0, you have to have really high deposits. And then the idea is, are there thoughts that we can take from the research that people have done on sort of similar crowdsourced systems that are also kind of designed around encouraging people to vote for infrequently occurring options, that we can apply in a dispute kit for Kleros 2.0. So I encourage you all to read that blog article when it comes out in probably a few weeks. Other than that, we're a lot of research continuing to think about different ways that we can take advantage of the flexibility of Kleros 2.0 to have different dispute kits that will handle different sort of bespoke situations, sold out and token waiting, having more identity mechanisms for dispute kits that would want things like that. So, the same kind of research we've been doing, but it continues.
Thank you, William. I mean, I don't know of many other projects that have, participate at the conferences at Stanford and Cambridge with, 1 week difference between them. I mean, that's something, I guess, about the recognition that we have earned over the years in the decentralized ecosystem and the legal tech industry also in general. So let's get into the hot topic of today. Just let me do a short introduction of Kleros 2.0 and why this is important. For a more complete introduction, you can watch my talk at the ArbTech community. That I'm sure Jean can share this, where I make a full introduction of why this is important. So Kleros started as a project 2017. We launched first a version, I would call it a pre-alpha version that we use for the Dodges on trial that we launched in July 2018. And then we launched what we could call V1 or Kleros 1.0 version in 2019 alongside an app called Tokens, that is a curation app for crypto assets. And that version of Kleros was launched with the tooling that was available in 2019, 5 years ago. It was launched on the Ethereum mainnet, which meant it was a bit expensive to use, especially when you had higher network congestion and gas prices were very expensive. So that was one thing. So the voting system that version had was based on token weighted voting. So more tokens means you have a higher chance of being drawn and being a juror, which is fine for lots of use cases. It is not that fine for other use cases that we have come to discover over time. When we launched Kleros, there was not another possibility because, as you know, there was no identity system that you could use to prevent civil attacks. But then these other projects came about, and we had ourselves proof of humanity, and there are others that exist and try to solve the same problem of giving each human a single address that they can use for their online interactions, on-chain interactions. So and this increased the possibility. The design space became more, wider, broader with this new tool. Then also there was progress in layer 2 roll-ups and everything you know, which enabled the possibility of having a court which is way cheaper than what was possible with Kleros 1.0 when we started. And this is especially important in the context of trying to target like lower value use cases. So if you have a dispute handling hundreds of thousands of dollars, or it's fine, you can pay, typically a higher fee because there's much more at stake. But what happens if you want to solve disputes under $200, for example, with, as we are doing with this exchange called Lemon, where users have disputes with the exchange and then Kleros can solve it. You need a system that is very efficient and inexpensive, costing only a fistful of dollars, to paraphrase that famous movie. So this was not possible before. It is possible now. And imagine starting to combine situations where you have a cheap system with identity systems like one person, one vote. And on top of that, more sophisticated decision-making logics. Like, for example, instead of binary choices, you could have situations where you give jurors 4 different options and they have to pick one, which seems trivial from the point of view of how it looks, but it's super complicated from the point of view of game theory. Lots of William talks about that. You can see it in GHCC and DEFCON as well. So all of these improvements are converging into what we call Kleros 2.0. It started by research of use cases, rollups, all that. And this is now in the process of being developed. And it also includes not just the improvements in decision theory and scalability, also new interfaces, which makes it way easier to use and way more user-friendly. And this will be very helpful to onboard more users. So cheaper, faster, more beautiful, cooler in every possible sense. And now, yes, let's give JB, who is leading the efforts of developing Kleros 2.0, the stage, so he can tell us about what the progress is and where we are now and what's coming. Go ahead.
1 second.
Yeah, I know all of the
to
approvals.
Accept the request.
all of the approvals of Twitter, of course.
Let me send another request.
It's fine. They make sure that it's hard to game the who gets the mic system, I guess.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, perfect. Go ahead.
Yeah. All right. All right. Hi, everyone. Yes. So V2, we've been working on it for a long time. We've had several testnet deployments on Arbitrum, and currently we've been preparing for a pre-launch version of V2 on Arbitrum mainnet. And we've been particularly motivated by the grant called LTIP. It's a long-term incentive program for the protocols developing on Arbitrum. So the application process is very much on the way. I don't know if anyone is familiar with it, but we should actually find out later today or this week whether we have been not rejected. And then the next step will be a vote from the community of Arbitrum DAO. And if we make it, we will pre-launch Kleros, which we are calling V2 Neo. For a 12 weeks period, it's going to receive some incentives it would receive incentives from Arbitrum in the forms of ARB tokens for the users who stake in the court. So Neo, what is Kleros V2 Neo? It's a special version of the core V2, which is taking progressive approach to we're calculating the risk to launching V2 because we don't want to have too much value at stake on the court right now at this stage. So we are placing some safeguards in place on the amount of token that can be staked, and basically ramping things up slowly and surely. So with that,
JB, one thing
yeah.
to clarify. Could we say that this Kleros V2 Neo is something similar to Ethereum Beacon chain for people to understand?
Maybe to some extent. I think the Beacon analogy would work for the following milestone after Neo, where we would receive disputes from other contracts. The particularity of V2 Neo is that it's going to only receive disputes from the resolver, which is the manual dispute creation that some of you might have seen, that we've also used during the testnets. So anyone willing to pay for the dispute fees can create a question, and some drawers will be drawn directly, and it doesn't really have an app behind it. So for Neo, that's the only sort of disputes that we will support. And if everything goes well, and we are confident that there is no major issue, and also by that time, hopefully, we will have been audited. Then we will start opening things up and start accepting disputes from some contracts on Arbitrum. So that's I think the beacon analogy is that it's going to remain still a low scale court for lower value disputes until we are really comfortable to migrate completely to V2, which is what we would call, on the other hand, the V2 merge, the Kleros merge, which is where we will switch, have everyone migrate over from the courts V1 to the courts V2. So the beacon stage of V2 will be somewhere between Neo and the merge.
Cool. Well, go ahead with the status of development so people can know where we are at.
All right. So on the V2 court side, we've been making continuous improvements. We've been adding support for a few standards like signing Ethereum. And the team now has moved mostly to migrating the other arbitrable applications like Curate. So we now have Curate V2, DApp that is taking shape. Curate V2, what's the other one? Reality V2, and I'm missing one. The Escrow V2. Yes. The Escrow V2, Curate V2, and Reality V2. There's that. And we also have recently significantly expanded the team, working on the backend side of things. So that is going to support all the new dApps that we are building. We'll have better notifications, better monitoring in general, better reliability. So it's sort of behind the scenes. It's maybe not so obvious, but that's where the attention is right now.
Yeah, so I mentioned this in previous calls, but the Kleros team greatly expanded in the last few months. So we onboarded like maybe 8 developers in the past few months. So lots of things that were like underhanded a bit are being resolved. So as JB says, we usually tended to have some problems with the notifications not working well because that was built on quite old infrastructure, and then we are renewing all of the, let's say, the engine that people don't see, but that it's important for everything to work. All of the backend is being done anew. So, and now that we have a way larger team of developers, we will make progress much faster. So yeah, this was also something that we having spending a lot of time interviewing people and all that. So yeah, go ahead, David. Anything else you want to mention?
Is there anything else? Yeah, another maybe quality of life feature that we've been working on for Neo will be cross-chain swapping. So if you are onboarding, if you want to stake PMK on Arbitrum, you will be able to bridge directly from the court without leaving the court front end. You can swap some DAI, some ETH from Ethereum, and get some PMK on Arbitrum and stake without leaving the court. So we are using Li-Fi for that, and it should be quite user-friendly.
Cool. I don't know, maybe if there is any question about the current development of Kleros 2.0 from the audience. I mean, we can maybe take one or two. Otherwise, we can continue. We can have maybe Marcos. Do you have anything you want to comment from a business development perspective?
Marcos, I don't know if you received the invite.
All of the process of.
Yeah, I sent. Yeah, I just want to maybe share a question that I saw recently on Telegram about XMTP notifications. I don't know, JB, if you want to respond to that.
One second. Let's go to the first to the other question, and then we can hear you. But go to JB. Go ahead with the notifications question.
Yeah. Okay. So there was a question on Telegram about whether we are looking into XMTP, which is a notification protocol. It allows wallet-to-wallet messaging, and I think they've got some pretty good adoption. I think there's also some kind of alliance trying to make it interoperable so that there's not like a dozen projects building their own messaging solution that cannot talk to each other. So I think XMTP looks very promising. That there are other guys like Push Protocol. I think for Kleros, right now we are focused on providing a really good end user notification, what we call transactional notifications. So if you've interacted with a DApp, you will get a notification if you're a drone, if you've lost a case, if you curated an item, if you're registered maybe on Prof Humanity. So that would be more this sort of notification, which is probably possible with XMTP. Then how you would consume those notifications. Some wallets, I think there's a MetaMask snap that allows you to receive those sorts of notifications directly in your wallet. But also those notifications would show up directly in the web app. But I think many of these protocols usually they are used more for social use cases, like social messaging, like groups. Maybe at some point we could imagine that on a dispute, the argumentation, the evidence, and the argumentation between the parties could maybe take place on one of these, maybe in a group, in a subgroup, on those notifications protocols. Something we could explore in the future.
Thank you, JB. Now, yes, Marcos, please go ahead.
Yep. So from the VD side, we could divide it into two, maybe Web 2 updates and Web 3 updates. Starting with the Web 3 updates, we have if Limo that they have some issues that need moderation and curation. So we are going to hop on a new call next week to see how we could work together. And then we have another project, Second Line, where we already have a first call, and they want to use us for securing the OTC trades and forward contracts. And then about Web 2 integration updates. First, talking about Lemon, we received 2 new cases. One is already uploaded, and the other one is going to be uploaded soon. So, jurors of the blockchain Nêuchatel can pay attention to this. And then we are going to have this tomorrow, and on Friday we are going to have 2 important calls with Argentinian projects. This is already confidential. This is confidential, and Federico doesn't let us to talk a lot about this.
It's not I don't let you. It's like NDA confidentiality things that cannot be disclosed.
So again, I promise I will be talking more in detail, or explaining more in detail what is this about. But we still have to make a few a few next steps to mention this in the community call. But very bullish with this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm spending like recent times and most of my time in working on this type of integrations that are what we call Web 2.5, which is projects that are doing fintech, insurance, in general consumer marketplaces that could require the use of Kleros for resolving disputes, because they have lots of consumer disputes to solve. I mean, high volume, low value. As I mentioned, one of the improvements we already have with Gnosis Kurt, but that we will have at a more general level when V2 is launched, is that it's significantly cheaper than the current version of Kleros on the Ethereum mainnet. So this enables a bunch of low value use cases which are more of the consumer kind of claims. So because the main flow of cases that jurors will resolve will come from this kind of lower value, high volume situations. You already know that we have conducted insurance pilots in the past, for example, for resolving cases. I cannot say the name of the company, but it was an important company in insurance, where people would resolve disputes happening between the company and a policyholder regarding whether the company should pay or not the policyholder, because there is some disagreement. This happens all the time in insurance, because there is a situation of mutual distrust between the policyholder who thinks the company doesn't want to pay, and the company who thinks that the policyholder is a scammer, basically. So this is exactly where Kleros can add a lot of value. So we have already piloted something like this. That specific project is a bit on standby because of a number of changes in the leadership of this company, which, a new team came and then they had to get to speed with everything. And so that is still there, but it's moving slow. But we are now creating lots of leads in lots of different companies that can use. The great thing about Lemon use case is that it showed first one very important use case that solves an actual problem. and a use case that doesn't need to be necessarily from the crypto world, because what we are Lemon is a crypto exchange, but the type of disputes that Lemon has also happens in like fintech companies. Any neobank has the same type of situation of dispute. Credit cards companies have a lot of these disputes, and as I said, marketplaces, insurance, and everything consumer. So this is like a template that can be implemented in lots of different verticals where the problem is more or less the same. So all of these companies are now experimenting with new dispute resolution methodologies, and one of those methodologies and technologies is the use of AI, which is perfect. I mean, people do use AI for resolving claims. Sometimes depends on the industry. In some industries, 90% of the claims are fully automated, and in others it's like 95%, which is perfect. But there is always a system, a requirement for a human review layer, which is to be done by Kleros. It is our hope. It's going to be done by Kleros. So we are speaking of numbers of disputes that are in the hundreds of thousands, probably also in the millions. So this is one thing on where I am spending like most of the time, and the key metric. So the key learning we have with the Lemon work we have been doing is that Kleros is an extremely powerful tool for customer retention. In the following sense, you have people having a claim with the company, because they were charged for something they claim to have not bought, and then they make the claim to the company, and then the company says, no, we're not going to reimburse you because we don't believe you. And then what happens is that 80% of the customers, they just, they don't care, they just leave the company and go to the competitor. What happened after we implemented this with Lemon is that the Lemon team offers the customer another instance of dispute resolution, which is neutral, impartial, which is Kleros, and maybe Kleros will side with the company. And the key metric is this one: 90% of the customers who lose their claim against the company, they stay with the company because they got this neutral dispute resolution instance, and they felt treated fairly by the company. And this is so this is the big selling point of this particular application of Kleros. And this is where we are seeing lots of traction and interest in replicating this into, well, all of these different use cases I have been mentioning. So the thing with this is the process of implementing this is slow because this is a new product for the market and you have to explain how this works. Sometimes, you need to calculate parameters. You have to make a pilot for the company to test it before deploying it in production. So it's a slow, selling process, but it's fine. I mean, that's how it works in the B2B industry. I mean, it's the way you have to go. And it has the disadvantage that it's slower adoption, but it has the advantage that there is, it's a big barrier to entry to competitors, because after you have a company already using your solution, it's not that easy for them to start using another one, because they will have to understand how the other one works. And if the one you have is solving your problem, I mean, why take risks that the other one doesn't work well? So there are these things. So
and one thing related to this, Federico.
Yes.
Yeah, that besides the Web 2.5 integrations that you were mentioning, we are too working in a few Web 2 native integrations. For example, there's a judge from Argentina. I'm not going to say exactly from where. They want to use Kleros to resolve neighbor disputes, and we have been talking with them. Well, tomorrow actually we are going to have a call to better understand how we should we should do the dispute policy. This is going to be done with by Facundo, that is the new member from Kleros. So, well, again, besides Web 2.5 integrations, we are too working in some other integrations related to the famous one we have from Mexico.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the other thing. If you have been paying attention to what things that have been taking place recently, you surely must have noticed that there is a Mexican legislation about alternative dispute resolution mechanisms that are going to be applied. So, in the Mexican context, 150 million people market, by the way, and companies will be required to offer customers a dispute resolution mechanism that needs to be like legally recognized. So one of those mechanisms that are going to be legally recognized in Mexico is called decentralized justice, and this opens the door for lots of companies who have to comply with legal requirements of offering customers a type of dispute resolution because it's a compliance matter. Well, in the menu of potential, solutions that they need to implement, well, there are decentralized justice systems, which coincidentally, we have been building one of these for a while. So you have that thing, and the other thing that if you have been paying attention to recent developments, we were invited to the World Government Summit in Dubai, where big gathering of all of world leaders in the public sector came to the conference, and we were offered a very interesting space to pitch Kleros solution into basically one-on-one to heads of state, cabinet members, the Ministry of Justice of different countries. So there is also, we are seeing the opening of whole new segment of from market, which is the public sector, which is something that we saw as like not very low hanging fruit because of bureaucracy but now we are seeing this as something that might happen like sooner than we expected. And the third important development that happened here is that a few months ago, the United Nations Trade Commission, the UNCTAD, published this report where they explain what they think are going to be the technologies affecting the future of dispute resolution. It's a report. I mean, we can share this with you later. A report targeted at the directors and the heads of consumer agencies from everywhere, because this is the UN, and they claim or they think that the future of dispute resolution in consumer is going to be defined by these two technologies, AI for, as I said, automated dispute resolution, and also decentralized justice for a different type of use cases, and for reviewing situations where the AI made a decision and that decision was done. I mean, it was not seen as acceptable by the consumer, and there was an appeal. All of the legislations that are currently being developed, in every case, they always ask that if there is a automated resolution process, there should be always a human-powered resolution process where a panel of humans will decide whether the AI decision was or wasn't acceptable. And of course, it could potentially revoke the previous instance, because machine learning models, they are not, first, they might be biased because of how you train them. And there's lots of examples about this. And second, they don't explain the reasons why they decide something. So the machine learning thing, they can tell you, look, A won or Alice won, but they don't give you an explanation. And sometimes nobody knows why they decide something, which is not acceptable neither from the point of view of regulation or from the point of view of what people consider to be a fair process of dispute resolution. They want to understand what are the reasons why they lost. Otherwise, it's minority report. Something that decides that you are a criminal, and then they don't give you an explanation. So this is for you to know that besides all of the private sector agreements and market research and development we have been doing, in the recent months we have seen this new door opening, which is the use of Kleros in the context of governments. Still quite early, but also big if true. If we can make this work in this type of use cases, this potentially can be extremely, extremely big. Okay, let me give now the stage to Alex. If you want to say something about ongoings, about DAOs and the governance modules and all that.
Yes, so basically, can say a couple of things. You mentioned the fact that Kleros can be bigger around governance, and yeah, that's the case with our Kleros SafeSnap module. So it's very a strength that it's really customizable. So currently, we're working with Shutter DAO to have to design a specific integration for them. So we are working on different fronts, so on the tech front, but also on the basically policy writing front to have something tailored for them. Also, another DAO that I'm following, it's called Paladin DAO. It's DAO related to DeFi. They are also interested in basically at some point leveraging this kind of process that allows to have off-chain voting on snapshot and on-chain execution, basically. So yeah, Kleros SafeSnap could be used there as well. So yeah, we are ongoing talk with them. And we are also on the following, looking at our strategy basically on this project, because yeah, Kleros can do a lot of things, especially with this product. So we can have something that is very tailored and customized for the need of the customer, basically with some specific constitutional check. And we can also do something that is very fast and straightforward. So yeah, we are looking at the different possibilities to get the most integrations. So yeah, that's it from my side in terms of everything related to DAOs.
Thank you, Alex. And so yeah, generally speaking, we have been the past few weeks reviewing a few of the products that we have and thinking about what should be the strategy. I mean, we have over time developed a bunch of different products in a lot of different use cases. One of them is for DAO governance and execution. Another one is, curation. And so I think I mentioned this in the previous call, but as you start building new products, complexity grows, and then you need to understand if the product, its market changes, and you need to understand if the product is still relevant for the new market reality, and also try to simplify different products into, fewer products, but better targeted. We are conducting all of this strategic analysis internally, so that is also taking some time. And also now that we have onboarded more developers, we also have more people who can, take the lead on some of these products, and this will, we think, bring more faster innovation, iteration into curation use cases, DAO governance and everything. That is also something we are doing internally. Let me see, Jean, do you have anything for today that you want to share?
Just would like to share that there's a new registry that Colombian created. It's currently we're currently receiving feedback. To be honest, I don't know how to explain it well, so I recommend checking the post on the Kleros Curate group. But it's basically a registry for pulling data from like automatizing pulling data from different registries. Maybe JB, you if you worked with him, maybe you can explain better than me. Otherwise, I recommend checking the group.
Okay.
And of course, we have the
wait, JB, do you want to say
program,
something about that?
Ongoing?
Wait, maybe JB, you want to explain it?
Maybe just a few words. I haven't looked at the very latest version of it. I think it's the query registry. So I think the goal is to curate snippets of codes which would retrieve DeFi-related information. So, for example, if you want to get the name of a pool, if you want to get the label for a Uniswap pool, you need to get the name of the tokens of the both tokens in the pool. So there's a snippet of code which we call a query, which is going to, given a pool, is going to give you a label Uniswap pool for token A and token B. So that would be one query. And you could have probably many types of queries for all the DeFi protocols that exist. And so that it's basically like a sort of dynamic address tag registry, I suppose. Because the address tag registry that we already have is very static. It's just one address, one label. So this query makes it a bit more dynamic for DeFi protocols.
Thank you. Go ahead, Jean.
Yes, and about the registries, we have the incentive program. So we will be distributing the rewards very soon. They are being calculated. They were already calculated, and they will be distributed. And of course, the period of April is open now, so it's a good time to start sending submissions again.
Cool.
And another update is that these tags have been integrated on 4 new block explorers, and we will start sharing which block explorers were added very soon.
So this is already being used by Etherscan, for example. So this is a product that is used, curation of address tags to make sure that they are not scammy or whatever. So this is used by MetaMask, Etherscan. So this is a very cool application of Kleros curation. Let me think. I think that's it for today. I will be in Argentina in a few weeks. If you are going to Mu for Mu is this community that is now moving around the world, and they are in Buenos Aires now. So if you are around, you can probably see me at Mu. I'm going to go there in a few times at least, because kind of informally we ended up having an office in Buenos Aires because their team has a bunch of Argentinians. And so, yeah, I guess now we have Kleros is, I would say at this point, a Argentinian, French, Indian project to some degree. So, yeah. So for the Argentinian part, I'm probably going to see you there, and hopefully, maybe we can even play some football game. As you know, we are the strongest football team in all of Web3. Could we say that, Jean?
Yeah, I think we have pretty good results. We played with good opponents in France, but we have a better record, I think.
Yeah, but the thing with France, when we play in France, I'm not going to. I don't want this to sound like an excuse, but they play with those rules that first, it's rapid football because they have the walls, and then you have to calculate, with the walls, how that. That changes your mind completely of how you need to strategize and to play. Because that, in my view, it's not easy to understand why they would put the walls into the game. And second thing, which is even stranger for me, is that the goalkeeper cannot get out of the surface area and the striker cannot get in, which I mean completely screwed up the way in which we played. I mean, we didn't know those were the rules, right, Marcos? I mean, when we played that tournament.
I should say that sounds like an excuse. We have to win. We have won in South America. Now we have to win the Interamericana against Europe, and there we could be the best Web3 team.
Okay, yeah. So Rare, I mean, careful because we are going to get you this time.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Okay,
guys. We will play against them in Belgium maybe in July.
Hopefully, Belgium has different rules for football, and they play like in South America.
Hopefully.
Okay, well, guys, thank you all for coming. Well, that's it for today. Yeah, well, see you next week. Just one last thing. Next week, I will try to have Wang Mian come here to explain a bit of, well, the integration strategy, business development in general. I mean, he cannot join usually because, I mean, as he is based in Asia, I mean, this is like 3 a.m. for him. So that's why he doesn't come. But now that he's temporarily in Europe, he can do this at a more reasonable time. So we will have him inform you of new developments in business development and well, integrations and stuff. Okay, well, thank you everyone for joining, and I guess we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.